initial vibe on the US, as from a British perspective?
Loud.
Life's all about the dollar.
Yeah, I lived there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I hated it.
You hated it?
Hated it.
I think generally speaking, it's just culturally just too different.
Is this what they call the American dream?
The American dream, yeah, it's a nightmare. Don't go there, don't live there.
She shut all his tyres off of his car, and all of the kids were out there were like cheering her on and clapping and like excited.
Everything is bigger, louder, bolder.
I think it's a very divided society.
It seems they've tried to uncomplicate the language because English is difficult.
You could always hear sirens going, or there's always people like walking around on the street no matter what time it was, and just a lot louder in general, to be honest.
Would you ever consider moving or living in?
Hell no.
Hiya, welcome to a new episode of Easy English. This week we thought we'd get the thoughts and opinions of British people on the US in 2024. Now before we get started, we'd really appreciate if you'd quickly consider subscribing below, and if you'd like to learn with us or just help support Easy English, then you can with the link up here. Let's go. What's the first thing you think of when you hear the word America?
I'd say they're a lot more patriotic.
If I say the word America, what is like the first thing that comes to your head?
Stars and stripes.
Wow, patriotism.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty negative,
Okay.
I would say,
could you-
politically.
Okay, politically speaking.
Yeah. Social justice, it's pretty negative over there.
Okay.
Problem with guns.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I wouldn't move there.
What's your first thought that comes to your mind?
At the moment, hopefully Donald Trump doesn't win the election.
What would be the main difference you think between us and the US citizens?
The US citizens do not understand irony.
Okay, and what would you say is irony? If you had to define it, what do you think the definition is?
We're taking the piss.
I'd say the average American, yeah, they would always go on about how much they love their country and things like that.
And how proud they are?
How proud they are, yeah. But here I wouldn't say so as much.
Why is that? Does it have bad connotations?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I'd say sometimes Americans can take it too far with how much they love their country.
How do you mean? Like it's annoying?
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. Could you give us an example of the last time you were ironic about something?
No, I'm British. I never notice when I'm being ironic.
It just comes naturally, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just what we do. And sarcasm.
It seems they've tried to uncomplicate the language because English is difficult.
Right.
And so their spelling is different.
Right.
But I always find that annoying.
And also pronunciations. I often find that we are kind of like when you, especially like younger people, you hear that they're really influenced by American pronunciations.
Yes, they say the word lever rather than lever and those sorts of things. And that's another thing that really annoys me.
Perfect.
Because I say, we're English. We don't say that.
So humour is a big difference, you think, between us and
Massive.
Americans?
Yeah.
Okay.
They import a lot of British sitcoms. We don't import... I mean, they import British sitcoms and make them American.
Right.
And we don't import American sitcoms and make them British. They're not good enough.
But that shows how far apart we are from them, that they even have to sort of translate English into American in a way.
Yeah.
Especially
I
with
think
humour.
it's their education system.
Just loud in general. So the people, I think they speak quite loud.
Yeah.
It's not in a negative way, just as an observation. And I think as the country in the world, they have quite a loud voice. They're quite powerful in that way. So loud is in powerful and loud.
This video was sponsored by italki, the site that allows you to find online language teachers for one-on-one tutoring. As a new user, you'll get $10 in italki credits after your first lesson if you register using the link go.italki.com/easy English. If you don't like reading complicated language books or listening to pre-recorded audio courses, then italki is for you. You'll get to practice your conversational skills under different real-world scenarios, as speaking with humans is the best and fastest way to learn a language. You can customize your lessons to cater for your language needs and interests, and the one-on-one lessons provide you with undivided attention with teachers at your preferred time, Whether you're at home, at the airport, or at the local park, you have complete access. So head on over to italki and use the link go.italki.com/easy English to start your first lesson and get $10 in italki credits. What does the US have that maybe Britain doesn't have that you like?
Okay, well, we have to look at the land.
Okay,
So
that's good.
The US is beautiful. It has a lot of natural parks. There's a lot of places you can go and walk and lose yourself in the wilderness.
Okay.
So I would guess we do have that here
Yeah.
as well, but maybe
Not
not
so
to
extreme,
the
is
extent.
it?
Not to the extent
True.
that you get in the US.
Although they've got big cities, they've
Yeah.
also got little towns and whatever, and everybody seems to know everyone and all that kind of thing, which we seem to have lost here.
Like a community set spirit or something?
Yeah,
Ah, really? That's a nice thing. That's another positive.
yeah.
How long did you live there?
2 years, just over 2 years.
Wow, okay, that was a commitment.
And I came back because I
Why
hated
did
it.
you hate it? Can you give me a rundown?
Well, I moved there in 1984 and I moved to the deep south, Savannah, Georgia. And I'd never come across so much like segregation. It was a real shock for me. Black and white people
Really?
didn't mix, no.
And hold on, when was this?
1984. I was there from 1984 to 87.
Well, I used to live in Northern California
Oh, really?
when I was a child, so yes, that's beautiful, but not anymore. I wouldn't live there anymore.
Where's that?
I think,
What have you
I think there's a
heard?
lot of social issues, especially in California, probably even in Southern California, but I think social issues is major.
Okay.
So I would never live there.
Would you live in the US?
No,
And why would that be?
I don't like the politics. It's too polarised for me.
Especially
You're
nowadays.
either one or you're the other.
Right.
And there's no middle ground at all.
And how about American friends or family or loved ones? Or
So I have American family,
Okay, really?
but they're from British stock.
Okay. And so if you have American family, have you been over to the US?
Yeah, loads of
Okay.
times.
And where have you been in the US?
I've been from New York to California and quite a lot of bits in between.
As in you've done like the journey
Yeah,
between?
yeah, I've trained from Chicago to Seattle,
Wow.
and I've been in all around that West Coast,
Great.
and I've been up and down the East Coast.
Oh, wow. Wow, you're quite well
I've even
travelled
been
in the
into
US.
Florida. Don't ever go to Florida.
Let's set up a scenario. Where would you go to? Where do you think you could put yourself when you went to America? Into the US,
It would
sorry.
have to be quite a what I would consider a progressive state.
Okay.
So maybe like a San Francisco,
Okay.
or if not, somewhere sunny like LA or Florida.
Let's say you were to go. What landscape would attract you the most? You mentioned
So
France.
I would really like to go to San Francisco,
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Right.
I would really like to check out because of the multicultural setting there and food. Cajun kitchen, I think.
Have you been to the US?
I have, yeah. I've been to New York and also Orlando.
Okay, and what was that like?
Thinking,
Thinking in comparison to the UK.
I'd say everything was non-stop, to be honest. I mean, New York especially, you could always hear sirens going, or there's always people like walking around on the street no matter what time it was, and just a lot louder in general, to be honest.
Oh, yeah?
But yeah, it was good.
And also the way that they view poor people,
Yeah.
people who are really struggling, and there's not really any facilities for them to actually achieve and do things,
Right.
because like the thing with the health system,
Yeah.
that one of the presidents wanted to bring in this whole idea of a health system for people who can't afford to actually pay for it themselves.
Yeah.
And everybody on both sides said, no, we don't want that. And you just think, well, surely that's got to be a benefit
Yeah.
if everybody can actually, get help. And considering we call it a first world country, but it's, for some people, it's not. It's like, other countries across the world that don't have those really important facilities to encourage health and well-being.
And would you live in the US now?
No, never.
Why?
Because life's all about the dollar. And if you haven't got the dollar, you're living in a third world country. If you can't afford about 20 million every couple of years for your health insurance, you are utterly stuffed.
Wow. Would you ever consider living there?
Probably not, to be honest.
No?
Like, the whole sort of setup just doesn't really appeal to me. There's other places I'd rather live, for example, like the healthcare system.
Right, okay. That'd be a negative.
Yeah, that'd be a negative for me personally, yeah.
What would you say is a negative, like a subjective negative?
Oh, God, that diet.
Diet.
Wow.
Okay. Like the choice of...
I think
The options?
the regulations, they haven't got the same regulations that we have in, well, I was going to say the EU, but we're not kind of part of that anymore.
Yeah. Get ready.
Okay, but as UK and the EU, they don't have the same regulations. So I think they eat maybe poorer quality, larger portions.
Walking around with guns all the time, I felt really uncomfortable.
That's a common thing people talk about, the guns.
Yes, I felt really... But friends of mine had guns. They'd have guns in the glove compartment of their car.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And they show you at them?
Yes.
Oh.
Where I lived, the girl upstairs, there was in my apartment, there was two. I was on the bottom floor, she was on the top floor. One Saturday we woke up and there was gunshots. Went outside and she was shooting the tyres off of his car. I don't know what he'd done. He'd obviously done something he shouldn't have done. She shot all his tyres off of his car and all of the kids were out there were like jeering her on and clapping and like excited. And I was just like, this is a Saturday morning before I was getting ready for work. And somebody's going out with a gun and shooting their partner's car up.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And in comparison, for people who are watching, it's like Brits are not customised to guns at all, right? It's just to look at one.
This was 1984 when I was there.
Of course, that's important
and like
to
I
mention.
said, the last time I went to the States was 97.
Okay.
And I was in Florida then.
Yeah.
Which is a different vibe.
Yeah, okay.
In Florida. I don't know why, but it just is. Even though it's down in the south, it's not the same mentality as, like South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, all of those places are like...
But you still wouldn't go back to live there, even if you have
never.
no desire?
Never.
Okay. And what would you say would be a positive if they're them being patriots and having a terrible healthcare? What would be a positive to the US, you think?
I'd say the business world is a lot more sort of affluent there.
Right.
Compared to here. I'm not saying it's not as big here.
You think it could be more successful? Or it's
yeah,
more...
I think there's more paths to be successful. Say somewhere like New York, for example, than here.
Right.
But I'd say that would attract me, but apart from that, not much.
So if you were to live there, you go to New York and live the American dream in a way.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Just hope you don't get ill.
Yeah.
I've been watching the Paralympics and the Olympics. So, you just sort of, the flags are going up all the time, aren't they?
Right.
Because they're winning so many things.
They're a sporting success, America, in many ways, right?
Yeah, and they have a whole system for sport, in their college system.
Beautiful mountain region.
Yeah.
It's almost like a mini world in itself. So you've got everything from sunny beaches to snowy mountains.
Another thing that would positively come to mind is probably the vast countryside.
Right.
Beautiful, diverse biodiversity. I would quite like to go there and have a look at some point.
There are opportunities for people who are not academic to still be able to go through the college system and actually achieve a sporting achievement.
Right.
Even if they don't continue it when they're older, there is, it's part of the whole curriculum. And I think that's very important. Yeah. Because we don't seem to do that in the same way in this country.
Can we end this with a positive, though? Because you must have seen things where you thought, oh, that's really good. I like that. We don't have that over here.
What did I like over there?
Racking the brain.
I liked cheap alcohol. You could buy really lovely alcohol cheaply.